All
Hey,
right.
everybody. Welcome back to
Hey,
Campfires and Catholes.
what's happening? Welcome to the
Not
party. How,
much.
how are you this
Yeah,
fine day, Carlson?
I am enjoying the cooler weather, that's for sure. Feels like
I am.
fall.
I am too. I'm loving it, man. I can't wait to do some deep cold backpacking and hammock camping. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with you, but let's enjoy fall. Let's not let fall get away from us.
Well,
So,
no,
we've
I know.
actually had a fall this year. I don't know how many years it's been since we've had a fall, but we've had a
Well,
fall.
somebody flipped the switch about a week ago, and let's see who's in the chat. We got
Yeah,
Tanya,
yeah.
we got
Who?
Jeremy, we got backpacking with Jason. Hey, cousin. And so, as people are coming in, um, why don't you tell them about our show tonight? Or we can
So,
talk about the
first
meetup.
things first, we're going to talk about the Indiana YouTubers fall meetup that we just had last weekend, and that was a success. Even though we had some questionable weather, had a little bit of
Yes.
rain and not a lot of sun, but I mean that's what happens when you and I get together. So I think everybody that showed up expected it to rain because I mean we were together. But
Right. It
no, what a
happens
great
every
time!
time.
We had some new faces, old faces like yours. Um, but
Christ.
no, a lot of good people coming out. It was so much fun. The chili. Can we talk
The
about the
chili.
chili for
We
a
had
minute?
7 kinds of chili.
7 different, and I think I sampled every single one.
Oh, I know
So
I did.
you can imagine how I felt the next day.
Yeah.
But no, thank you all for coming out. That was so much fun to see everybody. I enjoy it every year.
Yeah, and
Just hanging out.
it was kind of a low key, I think we had a few costumes, maybe 3 or 4.
Yeah,
So we didn't have as much participation in that, but then again, I didn't emphasize it, and I really did a poor job of really being clear about what was going to happen anyway. So
well, hey, you know what? Everybody that was there, they are adults and they can figure it out, right?
well, that's my
Bring
my
your
thinking.
costume if you want.
Yeah,
Bring your costume if you want. So
but
yeah,
I will say before we get started too much into this, I want to announce the dates for the spring one.
go ahead.
And the spring dates are, oh, now I'm going to mess it up. April 5th, 6th, and 7th.
There you go.
Was that
Not
right?
the 8th, not Monday too.
No, not the 8th.
Yes.
5th, 6th, and
Yep.
7th at the Blackwell Horse Camp. Again, a giveaway, but hopefully we'll have nice weather for that. But yeah, I just want to let everybody know that 5th, 6th, and 7th of April, I expect more people to come.
You know, it grows every year. I think we had. I never did get a true count. I would imagine we were in the 30s again this year. Wouldn't you think? Pretty close to 30.
Probably I maybe just across the threshold of 30. I don't think
Yeah.
we were like 60 like that one, but I think we were, yeah.
No, but we like Jeremy from All Things Outdoors. He ditched us this year.
Right.
Tanya, she said she had better things to
I
do.
never do
Yeah.
something else.
Stony, here he is. He said, he said, forget it. I'm not hanging out with you guys, but it's all right. We'll get
The
new friends.
AT. He's doing the AT. Wow. Okay.
Start the April 1st. Man,
That's
hey,
crazy.
if I had a chance to be on the AT, I'd be there as well, Stony.
You go, Stony. Get
Good
your
luck
AT
on that
on.
trail. You're gonna
Yeah.
love it. You're gonna love it.
Yep.
Enjoy it. Go slow, take your time, and take the scenery in and enjoy it. That's such a great experience.
Yes. So now let's get to the crux of the matter. So
Listen to you trying to sound educated.
let me
You can't
so
even
let
spell
me
crux.
so let me tell you all why we had this guest on tonight and how that came about. I was perusing Amazon, as I often do, and I came across a book that is called Hoosiers Hidden Hikes. And then I found out that it's written by someone local, well, relatively local. He lives in Louisville, but here's the book. And so I started kind of perusing it. I started perusing it, and there are places in here that I have not been. Lots of them actually. There's a bunch that I have, but there's a few places that I have not been to, and these are pretty awesome. They're waterfalls, they're rock outcroppings, they're And so I thought, hey, it might benefit our community to have him on to talk about the book, and it'll benefit his book as well. But I really think this is the perfect audience for this, mostly Hoosiers who like to be outdoors. So that's how I got a hold of Tim Stoops, and that's why we're having him on. He's going to talk about it. And so without further delay, we're going to bring him in. So everybody, welcome Tim Stoops. Hello.
Hey, thank you so much for having me
Hey,
on.
Tim.
Love the hat, dude.
Absolutely. Yep. And before we get started, Backpacking with Jason is in the chat. I just want you to stick around, and we're going to show you how awesome Indiana is.
Right.
We already know about Kentucky. So
yeah,
this guy knows some places.
It's our turn now.
Do
it. Love the hat. Why not get into it? Explain the hat. You've got that in almost all your videos. So
the hat.
Explain
I guess I got to explain the hat. Well, to start, I'm a caver, and I go to a caving event every year. It's called Speleo Fest, and cavers are a little weird. Mm-hmm. So when I first got into caving and going to caving events, I figured, I need to go find me a weird hat. So I went on vacation. We went to Maryland, actually, and there's a guy there at the bar. They've got palm trees, and he weaves stuff out of palm leaves, and he was selling this hat, and I was, oh man, that hat is me. So I got this hat. Shoot, I've had this thing for probably 12 or 13 years now.
Wow.
I got married in this hat.
Really?
Nice. Yes. Nice. I love it.
My mother wasn't happy about it, but everyone else liked it. And I dress it up for holidays. I wear it for I still wear it for Speleo Fest. I MC the event, and we do door prizes and stuff. So yeah, it's just I usually
you wear it in the cave. I mean, that would get it's kind of a tall hat.
You got to be careful. Yeah. It's a little wear and tear, but it holds up pretty good so far.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, let's get into your background. I'll let Carlson ask your usual question.
Before we get into the book, just a little bit about yourself. Have you always been in the outdoors, or is it something from like maybe your parents took you out, or is it something you found later in life? What got you interested in the outdoors?
Sure. Yeah. Great question. I think it's embedded somewhere deep inside of me, but I would attribute it to I grew up in Maryland in a little suburb of a city, and it was a really neat neighborhood where the developers just bought a huge farm, and in the neighborhood it was completely surrounded by trees.
Nice.
Outside of that, there's swamps, and then there's creeks, and there's train tracks, and it was just a really wild terrain. So when we were kids, we spent all of our time out in the woods, building forts, running around. I think I'm technically a millennial, but I was definitely raised Gen X.
Oh, were you? Well, good. And you're
right on the line there, right?
Somewhere about the 3rd or 4th grade, man. We just went out in the woods and we did it. As I got a little older, we invented a game where one of my 3 partners in crime, we'd put on a blindfold, and you spin around in circles with your finger out, and then just stop. And then we'd get out a compass. Oh, that was the other thing. My parents were military. So my mom, they would buy stuff from the base exchange. We had our fatigues and compasses and binoculars and stuff. But with the game, once they pointed, we would just walk as far as we could walk. We would explore that direction for the day until we hit, some private property or an impassable barrier. So,
do you think that's what has stuck with you all these years as far as finding off-trail stuff?
Yeah, because it's so natural for me to just go off into the woods.
Nice.
I've been doing it ever since I was a little kid, probably when arguably maybe we shouldn't have been.
Now, when you go out and you camp in the woods, are you a tent guy or are you a hammock guy?
Boy, it just depends on the weather.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can get behind that.
Yeah, I've got a pretty pretty diverse set of gear, so it really like depends on the particulars, you know, what we're doing, what the goal is. So
How many trees there are? How many
Right,
trees
where-
around you?
how far we're going.
Yeah.
You know, honestly though, for me, for camping, most of the time camping is just kind of like a necessary burden. I really like to just get out in the woods and just go and set up the camp and just hike and explore.
Like a base, so you base camp it.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. That's what I was going to ask. My next question segues perfectly. If you're more of a hiker, backpacker, day hiker, do you set up a base camp? So it sounds like you guys like to find somewhere, an area to explore, and then set up base camp and just kind of do your thing, spin around, and let's go this way for the day. Or is that how that kind of works?
Yeah. You know, well, specifically for the Hoosier National Forest, honestly, I did a lot of day trips.
Yeah.
I would just ride out there. Actually, I've done a lot of like 6 a.m. I'll just wake up and just go myself, drive in the dark.
Yeah.
I already know I'm not inviting anyone else on that trip because they're not waking up. And you know, I have a few goals in mind, and I'll hit it. And,
When's the last time you had to dig a cat hole?
oh boy.
Since we're on Campfires and Catholes, let's talk about that.
We're going to ask that question.
You're really putting me on the spot here.
That's a personal question.
You're not going to ask for the GPS coordinates too, are you?
Well, did you put sticks over it? And...
Little flags.
Honestly, it's been a really long time.
Has it?
Yeah.
Okay. Ain't no
Chris
shame in
can
that
get down
game.
with that. He's just proud of himself. He never.
I got
ever-
4
I've
years.
known him.
4 years.
Well, I've been hiking with you since 2015, and I can't remember a time where you were in the woods and you had to go. I don't know
Not
how
once.
you do it. It's amazing how he just flips that switch. And yeah,
No,
I'm jealous.
That's what the hat's for.
That's for, right?
that's what,
Trash bag in here.
that's where you hide the wag bag.
I'm giving away all my secrets up today.
Hey, it's all community of caring here. We all need some help. So let's talk about the book a little bit. I really like the way that you have put everything together here. I like the maps. I like the ratings. What inspired you to write this book?
Oh boy, you know, as I got out to the Hoosier National Forest and started exploring, not only was I finding really cool stuff, but I just couldn't believe how rare the literature was on it, and just how there wasn't anything. You know, I would find little references to maybe a hollow here or a creek or something, you know, the Shooting Star Cliffs. There used to be a webpage for Shooting Star Cliffs. I think it's gone now. So I was just picking up little bits and pieces. But for the most part, then I was having to go out and put in the hard work to go there and explore. I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe.
So it was just the lack of information for all these places that you found, or just in general?
You know, the lack of information, but also I just feel like there's an incredible amount of potential for the Hoosier National Forest, and I just feel like it's just a lot of wasted potential. You know, huge tract of lands. You can get to a tract of land with hundreds of acres,
Mm-hmm.
and there's like not a parking area.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's not an access trail. The only road is gated, or if there's even a road at all, no signs or anything. I'm like, isn't this is federal land? Like, isn't this supposed to be our land? Like, I feel like people should be out here and exploring this more.
Yeah.
At least make it more accessible for people to do that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like everyone goes to the same places. That's why the Red River Gorge is just packed with people.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Team Wilderness is packed with people. Like, there's more out here, guys. Let's spread out a little bit. Let's get some breathing room.
We have been at the gorge, and we've been walking out. In fact, Jason in the chat, we've been walking out, and this is near Hanson's, and fire's still burning. People just left it, and that is a symptom of too many people in one area, I think, and
They're uneducated
and uneducated, right?
yeah
On leave no trace, yeah.
yeah that trip you're talking about there, I think there was 3 fires we put out on the way out that day. And that's not a very long trail, is it 3 miles back, if
Yeah.
that? So
They almost have been. They were very dehydrated.
Apparently.
Well, they start the fire and they never think about, oh man, tomorrow morning I'm gonna have to put this out somehow, or
I bring a bag.
Yeah.
A bag is the best way to do that. You just scoop it up in the creek and pour it in.
Are you so along with that, are you, and I think you talk about this in the book, are you worried at all about creating hotspots like that? Are you worried about based on the fact that you give coordinates, based on the fact that a lot of this stuff is off trail? Are you worried about the damage to the forest as people come to find these places?
Yeah, that was definitely a concern.
Yeah.
And actually, for the longest time, as I explored these places, and I'd post pictures ever so often, I never told anyone where any of them were.
Mm-hmm.
My philosophy on that is like, you know what? If you release 1 or 2 places and then it gets popular and people are going to flood it, but if I put out a book with like 25 locations in it, no one's going to slam any one area all at once.
Yeah.
The other part of it too is I did more exploring around the Shawnee National Forest, and there's a ton of trails out there. There's a lot of little user trails. All of the waterfalls have names. They're all known. They're all marked somewhere. People go to them all the time.
Right.
And it's not a big deal. So.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. So you got 25 places here, mostly, and we should mention that most of these are in the south part of the Hoosier National Forest. So
yeah.
South of, let's say, French Lick.
Really south of, I'd say south of Lake Patoka.
Patoka, okay.
Yeah.
Now this is going to be a put you on the spot question.
Oh boy.
What's your favorite?
Oh, what's my favorite? There's so many favorites. I'm going to go with, there's a place called Peter Cave Hollow. As a caver, that I think that's what drove me there first. I was like, oh, this cave? I'm going to the cave. There's no cave there, but Peter Cave, when I first went to Peter Cave Hollow, actually we showed up from the bottom part of it, and the land, there's a section of private property in the middle. And we talked to the landowner. We had a good old time. He let us walk through his property, and we went and explored everything in the back. The next time I showed up, there's a gate and no trespassing signs everywhere. I'm like, oh, dude, come on.
This guy was cool.
Yeah. All right. Back to the drawing board. So I did a lot of driving back and forth and checking places out. And finally, I found another little parking spot and hiked in. And God, that area down there is so gorgeous.
So it's beautiful. It's like the prettiest spot that you found, you think?
It is really pretty. The rock outcrops are nice, but also the vegetation down there, everything is just so lush and gorgeous.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's amazing.
We do have a question from the chat room. What area surprised you the most when you found it, and why? Would it be that area, or do you have another one for that?
There's a little area called Unicorn Ravine
that
I found. That one was kind of funny because we were on our way to go hiking to a different area. And I just kind of realized as we were driving through the back roads, I was like, oh, hey, there's this spot that I kind of sort of want to see, but it's probably not going to be much. Hey guys, hold on tight. I just walked the side of the road in the grass. And the only thing to mark this is like an old forest road sign, and you can't even see the numbers on it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you guys, you coming or not? I'm just gonna run down this hill real quick. And it ended up being really cool. It opened up into a neat little like walled canyon. with some little waterfalls in there. There you go. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yep. I came back to it later and explored more, and there were old cars. So yeah, that was really that's just a good find. I wasn't really expecting much.
Is that the car you found?
Yeah, that's the car.
Oh wow.
Isn't that cool?
Jokes about it in the book because it's like you're on technically a forest road, and if there's any doubt that you're on the forest road, you hit the first car, and then you just keep going.
All right, we got a couple more questions here for you. This is cool. Thanks for the questions, guys. This is from our buddy Backpacking with Jason. Wag bag or cat hole? And I kind of asked you this before we came on, but
Jason is so against wag bags. That's where that's coming from.
I gotta be honest with you. That's the first time I've heard the term wag bag.
Really?
Really?
So in the caving world, we would call it a cave burrito. Yeah, where you
even better.
Tin foil and lay down tin foil, and that's your little spot, and then you wrap it up in a bag and tie it up.
He's got another question of kind of, I'm assuming it's what kind of food does he like to eat in the woods? Now don't say Mountain House.
Oh yeah, they're not a sponsor, huh?
No, well they're frowned upon by certain people in
by Jason.
By Jason.
You know what? Actually, I'm kind of a punk when it comes to food. Man, I have not really gotten into learning how to cook well in the outdoors. And actually, that's I need to get out with more people who are more experienced with backpacking and camping. I really do.
Come out with us. We make the best stuff, man.
I'm the kind of guy that, like, I'll go to Subway, I'll eat half the sandwich, stuff the other sandwich in my bag, and just whatever.
We when it's cold out, when we do cold weather camping, the first night you can bring a nice big ribeye and you cook it over the campfire, and it's not going to spoil because the temperature's nice. So we call that the first night steak.
Well, actually, there is my answer. Actually, my go-to is quesadilla over the fire. I've got a little metal grill. Stuff in my back. Yeah, and we'll make quesadillas with like ham. Sometimes we'll just do lunch meat.
Nice.
Cheese and stuff. So
I kind of did that this year with the tortillas and pizza sauce and pepperoni and cheese. Yeah. I packed it out and it was perfect. Like I've got a little MSR, like a 7-inch pan, non-stick, and it's just throw a tortilla, pizza sauce, cheese, pepperoni, put another one on top of it, let it melt all up.
That's great. Well,
good stuff.
The other thing about the Hoosier National Forest is a lot of these hikes in here are short.
Yeah.
You could cut it up, maybe do like 2 in a day. So sometimes I'll go do a hard hike and then I'll come out and just go to a restaurant. I like to support the locals.
I like the way you think. That's awesome.
You have good conversations with people. Sometimes you get leads on places to go. So it's kind of fun.
So Stoney, I think we did cover this earlier, but does your book cover the whole state or just more central south? And you said it's south of Patoka, mostly.
Yeah, mostly.
Okay.
I think mainly because for me personally, most of what's in the book was within like an hour and a half drive of Louisville, and then once I get above Patoka, I'm in like the 2.5 hour drive range, and there just wasn't a whole lot up there. In the way of rock outcrops and stuff. There's a little bit, but I didn't think it was enough to justify me expanding the book up that way.
Now you said you said you're a caver. Have you? And I may have asked you this before we came on. I asked you about the Deem. Have you been to the Deem much? But have you been to Patton Cave at the Deem?
No, I haven't been to Patton yet.
Okay, that's one you might want to check out. I just checked it out for the first time, 2 years ago, something like that. But
it was this spring, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I think that's the first time I'd been there. Anyways, this spring.
Yeah. It's not deep, but it's pretty neat one. Stoney's also asking, since you're a caver, are you part of the team that is called upon for rescue situations? I know some folks are in Bloomington that are cavers and rescue teams. Have you been a part of that at all?
I've done a little bit of rescue training, just like some intro to stuff. I've done like some self-rescue training.
Okay.
My wife, on the other hand, she got big into it. She loves it.
So she could rescue you.
Hopefully not. But yeah, I think she's done like the level 3 NCRC rescue training, and yeah, she really got into it.
Very cool.
Nice.
I did have a question not in the chat, but I'm getting texts as well. And it says, what apps does he use and how much does he use Google to find spots? And that came from Steve Sharon from Adventure Outdoors.
Sure. I suppose I could get into the methodology just as a whole.
If you want to, unless it's a
No.
trademark secret.
No, there's no trademark secret. The trademark secrets are here. It's $20 on Amazon. They're all gone now.
Right. We'll show that in a bit. Yeah.
I touch on it a little bit in the book in the map section where I just kind of explain the methodology of the maps. LiDAR was the biggest game changer. I use the Indiana map using LiDAR.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's questionable when you get on there. You can see the shading and you're like, okay, well, maybe that's a cliff. But as you start getting out and hiking more and actually seeing the places in person, you start to get such a good idea of what's going to be there. Then I could just look through the map and be like, oh, here's this spot.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a cliff there and I'm sure there's a waterfall there. We're going to go hike to it.
Can you explain to people who may not know what LiDAR is?
Sure. Yeah. LiDAR is light imaging, detecting, and ranging. It's a very high quality topographic map where they've actually flown over with airplanes and gotten I think it's accurate up to like 3 feet, so you can really see all of the little pits and cliffs.
Yeah.
You can see the drop offs. You can even see how good a waterfall is going to be just depending on the watershed.
And that's what they use to find ancient civilizations in the Amazon.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I heard that.
Caves. I have found a few really good caves using LiDAR.
Really?
Yeah.
So is that an overlay for an app, or is it do you have an actual instrument or just pictures that they've flown over? And
you know what? I am a paper map guy. I'm old school. So I was making paper maps and printing them off. Really, though, when I first started, it was before LiDAR. So I was using Google Maps and topographic maps. And a lot of times I just go hike up a hollow and see what was there.
It's really the best way.
Yeah, I take good notes. So I've had so many failed trips. So many failed trips.
But is it a failure if you've learned where not to go? Like you're eliminating spots.
That is a really good point. Yeah.
Try to put a positive spin on that.
I've got a lot more to do. I've got a lot of loose ends to tie up, places that I'm not real confident there's going to be much there, but I just want to go hike and check them out anyway. Yeah.
Have you ever, when you've been out, I'm sorry, Carlson, I'll let you ask a question.
Hey, you've got the question.
You're just here to look pretty.
That's what I do. I look pretty.
Have you ever gotten out and off trail and you're pretty far away from the road and you've gotten yourself into a situation that was potentially dangerous?
No, actually.
No? Good.
No. Knock on wood. I've been pretty good in that regard. Yeah, I tend to stay out of trouble. And
that's what I was going to ask, if you'd ever went out to explore and find a spot and just gotten turned around and gotten lost and had trouble finding your way out.
No. And actually, most of the areas in this book you're really not going that far.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times you're just hiking up a creek, and it's I follow the waterways. To me, it makes sense in my head. Maybe it doesn't to everyone. I don't. It's hard for me to know what level I'm on, but I've done pretty good in that regard. Now,
okay, good.
There's been a couple caves though that I've gotten turned around in.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Yeah, just very, very. If you've ever gotten lost, it is the weirdest feeling.
Mm-hmm.
own emotion that's like 6 different things all together, and like in the worst anxiety inside your body, and it's so weird. It's hard to describe.
Lost in a cave would maybe amplify that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
Do you-
I've been
do
lost
you
in the woods hunting and stuff, but never into the cave. I think that'd be a whole nother level.
Do you chalk cave walls at all? Do you do the chalk?
No. A lot of times we go in with maps if it's already mapped, but then if we're mapping a cave, you've been in there so much, like, because it's a long technical process. So usually you're going back in and you just kind of get to know the cave real well, and that's the best way to stay on.
What's your favorite type of cave? Like, yeah, is it the stand up, the crawl through, where it gets really challenging, or a mixture, or does it matter?
Ones where no one's been.
Okay.
That's my favorite type of cave. One where there's no footprints in front of me.
One of the things I wanted to point out, and we talked about this a little bit before we went live, is that, and this is, I'm saying this mainly for the audience, but I know of 3 arches that I've been to, and you have 6 listed in the back of your book, which is crazy to me because I thought there was only 3. What was the first one that you found? What was the first arch that you ever found?
Oh, let's see.
In Indiana.
What now? There's Mesmore, but I knew the arch was there at Mesmore.
Yeah.
It's probably the little Lancaster arch.
Okay.
That's right off of the road. And in all honesty, some people might see it and it might be arguably an arch, but I mean, whoa.
Is it an arch proper, or is it an arch that's a top-down arch, maybe like yellow birch?
It's like a little tunnel.
Okay.
And it's got a really beautiful face to the front of it. Yeah. And the cliffs back behind it are really nice too. I did a little short video there not long ago. And I was hiking back behind the cliffs, and I was like, I don't know if I've actually explored back here. It's awesome. There's all kinds of little corridors and crevices and some really neat rock outcrops back there.
Very cool. Have you ever found snakes in a cave?
In a cave? Yeah. Actually, that happened. Gosh, that just happened a year or so ago.
Really?
I've got a story. That's funny that you asked me that.
Tell us a story, Tim. Tell us a story.
We were going through a cave. We were going to do a big survey trip. We had all kinds of gear and bags and stuff with us. And I don't remember if I was up front or not, but someone said, "Oh, there's a snake." And we're in it's a little canyon cave. The whole cave is like this.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a copperhead.
Ooh.
Big fat copperhead too. So we got around it and we went through the cave, and coming back, we were paranoid. We were real paranoid. Looking for because you're crawling, like the last thing you want to do is get bit in the face by a copperhead.
Oh man.
That's true.
You're a goner if you get bit in the head by a poisonous snake. And so they all went through, and we're not finding the snake. We went through the spot where we had seen him. And there was a couple more of us left. And someone says, "Oh, I see the snake." He had crawled up the wall, and he was like face level.
Oh, okay.
Hanging off the side of the wall. And my buddy, he's like, "Nah, whatever." And he just goes. I'm like, "I'm not
here, snake."
We had an alternative route, so we climbed up and went through an upper passage and exited the cave.
Here's a great question.
No, thanks.
Have you ever found any old artifacts in a cave? Well, who is that? Is that Chris? Thank you, Chris, for that.
I believe
question.
so.
No, not really. I'm not a big artifacts guy, but you know what? I'm oblivious to artifacts. I know people who find arrowheads and stuff all the time, and I have yet to see an arrowhead in the woods.
Really?
I've spent thousands of hours in the woods, and I've never seen an arrowhead. So
Same.
Yeah.
I've always thought it'd be cool to come across one. I've never found one. I was going to talk a little bit about it. I don't know if you'd planned this or not. We kind of talked about it before we came on, Chris. You mentioned his website as well, and
Yeah.
your website kind of explains the book. I was wondering if you could pull that up and we could kind of get into that
Absolutely.
and talk about that. And so that basically the website explains what you're getting into and researching all these places, if I'm correct.
Also has the link. So it's stoopwalker.com. It also has the link where you can purchase the book. So I just want to throw that out there. So take us through your website here.
All right. Well, this is actually, you know what's funny? The cover was updated slightly, but that's the cover for the book. You scroll down a little bit. It kind of just it gives the breakdown of what's in the book, that it is off trail. You know, most of it is no trail. So I don't want people buying the book thinking that it's going to be a good place to take their kids for a stroll. It's not really a kid-friendly book unless you got, you know, some really awesome kids.
I love these pictures though. This gallery is awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, that waterfall there. Let's see, the one that's kind of in the middle to the right. That's called that's Jubin Lagoon.
Beautiful.
It's one of the only waterfalls that I have found in Indiana that actually has like a pool at the bottom where you can kind of wade in it.
Very cool.
Yeah, if someone knows of another one, let me know, because so far that's about it.
You see this all the time in Kentucky though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like Copperas Falls at the Red River Gorge is like that. Well, I like it. Okay, so you got your gallery here. You got your behind. You got your links, but you've got your what kind of a background. And I noticed this journal that you've been doing. You also have on here. You have trip reports. Is that right?
I've got a German Ridge trip report on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and my wife, we went backpacking along the German Ridge for our first wedding anniversary. Very romantic.
Well, I was going to ask another question, as like how involved is your wife in finding and going with you and all that?
Oh, most of the time she's awesome. Sometimes I'm dragging her. So, but she's great. She's a warrior. I love having my wife with me. We do a lot of adventures together.
So she's as much into the outdoors as you are. Or is she a glamper or is she a hardcore camper?
Oh, she's hardcore.
Really?
Yeah. And you know, we have some different interests on the outside of the spectrum, but a ton of overlap. I think I like the crazy off-trail hiking a little bit more than she does. And she likes to get more like the organized stuff, such as the cave rescue and things like that.
Very cool.
So we were talking about, like, you know, you like to explore, you like to write all these things down, or just explore these things that you find on trail. Is that kind of the basis, or how the book came about? Is you started exploring all these things and you thought, wow, most people don't even know about these. There's not a lot of research out there. And then just decided to share kind of all these experiences.
Yeah. And really, I think the Hoosier National Forest is awesome.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
Kind of my philosophy is, I really like to get up and have a tangible, up close and personal experience with the outdoors. Everyone enjoys getting out and getting a good view, but I really like getting in places where I can just get right up to the rocks, going through crevices and exploring things. And the Hoosier National Forest is perfect for that because, well, for one, we talked a little bit about this. You don't have the roto jungles like the Red River Gorge.
Right.
The other thing, and I love the Red River Gorge, by the way, it's awesome, but it can really just wear you out. You know, you've got roto jungles, you've got huge elevation gains to get up to the cliff lines a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
You're hiking up, a couple 100 feet just to see a cliff face. and it'll really wear you out.
Yeah.
And sometimes your guide will take you on a goat path and scare you to death. And because you've got a drop off on your left hand side. I'm looking at you, Jason.
There he is in the chat automatically. I hate rhododendron.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah. But so I agree with you, the Hoosier National, and I also agree with you that it has a lot of untapped potential that, you know, a lot of people will only stay or go to the same places. They don't go off trail. So that's what I found refreshing about your book is that, like, okay, here's a guy that's getting the work done, getting out there and finding the stuff. And I'm all about that. And so as far as the areas that you continue to explore, I mean, is your goal to not map out but like, is there going to be a second book? Are you going to have enough for another book eventually?
I wouldn't rule it out, but you know, honestly, right now, I have found a few like really cool things that I found like maybe 2 cool things that I was like, oh man, I wish that could have made it in the book. But you know what? I just make a map anyway, and I've got the Hoosiers Hidden Hikes group. So if you buy the book, there's only one question to get in, and I just post all that stuff on there. I don't keep secrets.
Well, and that's how long did it take you to write the book?
Way too long. So I love hiking. Hiking is a lot of fun. Writing is a lot of fun. The photography. But I got to a point where formatting the book and getting everything like the way I wanted it to be, I understood what writer's block was.
Mm-hmm.
It really hit me hard, and I was kind of going in waves of working on the book. And finally, I found an excellent book designer, and he doesn't let you mess around. He tells you exactly what he wants, and he's like, "I need this by tomorrow," and I'm like, "Oh, girl, I'll get it for tomorrow." And then he put it together, and it ended up being absolutely gorgeous. And I wasn't going to settle for anything less than a beautiful, easy to read book.
Yeah. I mean, it's a great layout. I love it. Let me show real quick your Facebook group, because I am a member of it. I just want to make sure that people understand that it's a private group for people who have purchased the book. But it's right here, and this is where you give your new discoveries, right?
Yeah, and I hope that as other people start exploring, they'll start posting stuff in there as well. That's kind of the idea, is that we'll just start sharing information.
Okay. I like that you made the group private, though. That I do. I think that is a good thing.
Keeps a good cap on it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. People are more willing to share things on a private group, I think. So
what these next questions are these are just things that we ask everybody, or I'll let Carlson, like your bucket list hike. What is a bucket list hike for you?
Oh man.
Put you on the spot again.
Man, I still got stuff on the Hoosier National Forest to do.
Well, so let's talk outside of Hoosier National Forest. Where would you like to most hike in the country? Let's say
there's a funny story about that. Years ago, gosh, maybe 8 or 10 years ago now, we did a trip. We planned a Grand Canyon trip. We were going to go to the Grand Canyon. We're going to do all these slot canyons. It was me, my wife, and my buddy. And I started looking at the itinerary, and I decided to cut out the Grand Canyon from the Grand Canyon trip. And my poor wife, she's still sour about it. She still talks about the Grand Canyon trip where we didn't do the Grand Canyon. So I got to take her there. We'll go see that. And but what I really want to do is some of the slot canyons out there. It was Buckskin Gulch.
Mm-hmm. I've heard of that.
Oh, I love those big slot canyons. Oh, they're absolutely gorgeous. They're wild though. We had the realization that it was just a little bit outside of our experience level, and there's some more learning to do to slot canyons.
I don't know much about them, but I know enough to stay out of them. I've heard it pretty. I've heard they're pretty tough to navigate. You really need to know what you're doing. You can get yourself in some serious trouble out there. So I don't know where Devin was at. Devin was in the chat earlier. He's a Utah guy.
Yeah.
So he does a lot of the canyons and gulches and stuff like that. He's probably been to Buckskin, I would imagine. But yeah,
we went to Escalante, and there's some small canyons out there that are easy to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and those are kind of funny. It feels like you're going off trail when you're out there in the desert because they just have cairns that you just hike from cairn to cairn.
Right.
It's very strange. So I could hike out there for the rest of my life.
So what's some things that's out of the Hoosier? What's some things in the Hoosier National Forest that you have your eye on you haven't explored yet?
Oh boy. You know what's funny? In the book, there was a few places where I literally just put question marks on the map. And I even wrote it in like, more exploration. Because I really wanted to encourage people to go out and adventure and actually explore some. It's part of the reason why I purposely did not notate or caption most of the photos. Because I wanted to leave people questioning.
That's good. That's a good strategy.
Yes. There's a few little waterfalls here and there. There's around Unicorn Ravine. I even mentioned that in the book that is a huge swath of land, and there are several hollows that come up north from Unicorn Ravine that would be excellent to explore. And if anyone ever wants some suggestions, I'll give you suggestions.
I'm going to take what you have here and go to a lot of these places, and I'm only going to use your book as a reference. So we're going to test out your information.
Awesome. Yeah. Bring a compass.
So
he doesn't know how to read one, so it's
I don't know how to read one. There's a place I wanted to ask you about in the book, and it's just below Buzzards Roost. Now I've been to Buzzards Roost. I think didn't you like, because you can, there's a trail that you can go down to the Ohio from Buzzards Roost.
Mm-hmm.
But didn't you find some stuff along the cliffs down that area?
You know what? I didn't. That's one area actually. That's the real answer to the last question.
Okay.
Is Buzzards Roost. I want to do some more exploring. It's just it gets so much sun on that side from the river. It's really overgrown. Like there's a lot of like vines, and it was pretty wild and didn't look too inviting to me.
Well, I've never been down that trail to get to the Ohio, but I know it's. I've looked over the cliff and I know it exists. But this is you can't really see it. This area right here.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I did hike up that creek too. I thought there'd be a couple waterfalls there, but that was one of the ones. It was like, nah, I'm not even going to put that on the map.
Gotcha.
I try not to send people places that's just like pretty lackluster.
Well, it seems like that place is going to change because they're actually making it a paid place now. They're going to. It's going to be one of the many places that they improve, and they they're going to make it paid. So, which kind of stinks. It's like the last free place, one of the last free places you can camp.
Improve. Oh, that's a
well. Improve.
Improve.
Yeah.
Improve their income.
Right.
I guess some, I'm sure there's a lot of people who enjoy improvements, but me personally, I'm okay with just hopping out of the car and tumbling down a hill with a blanket. And I'm all right.
And doing it for free.
Yes, and doing it for free. Oh, and I got to have a Subway sandwich. I'll be all right.
Right.
So it sounds like we need to get a trip together sometime.
Yeah.
And get him out to the team and get you to Patton Cave, let you explore that, and then get you some soft trail out there.
If you come to the spring meetup, we're having it April 5th, 6th, and 7th in 24. Since we're at Blackwell, it's only about, what would you say? That's a 3 mile?
It's a little over 2 miles out one way.
Yeah. So we'll do a day hike. It's a great day hike. You get into this nice valley, So we'd be happy to take you to your first Patton Cave visit.
Excellent. I'm down. It's going on the calendar for sure.
Awesome.
And anytime you would want to get together, I think that would be a fun trip, because I never really realized how fun it is just to go off trail until Chris really kind of got me into it. I was always kind of like, I don't really know where I'm going. I wasn't, sure about it. It's like, what if I get lost? And now I'm realized, like, you just keep walking, you'll find something, right? But I mean, at the Deem, I know the Deem well enough. If I came upon a trail, I would be able to find my way out, or I know that area well enough now that it's always been amazing to me, all the cool places that we've seen. Just this summer, we camped with a group of people at a pond, and then we wanted to camp the next day down by the Monroe Lake. So we're like, well, forget going back the trail and all the way around. Let's just take the shortcut and go through. And we came up on like some old road beds and stuff that you would never see, unless you just got out there and explored, right, Chris?
That's right.
Your tagline.
That's right.
But yeah, I think you would really enjoy the off trail stuff there too, because there's probably so much out there that's untapped that we don't even know about. Chris with his ponds, 20-something ponds. I've been to 8 myself, and it's an amazing, totally different experience. I think when you just like, I'm heading out this direction and see what I find versus following a trail to a set destination. So
well, there was the couple that just got lost out of there, and I know that article.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to do, really. It's kind of
I was curious. I mean, looking at the map, and I was like, okay, maybe if they picked the absolute worst direction, you could go several miles in one particular direction without hitting anything. Maybe they just got really unlucky.
But you're going to hit a lake eventually. That's the thing about it. Either a road or a lake.
I think if you're a fairly new and inexperienced hiker, backpacker, whatever, and you go out there, that is a pretty good piece of land. If you haven't studied a map and made yourself familiar with how the trails run and where they run, you could get lost for a while out there. I think it's always good to do your due diligence and stuff like that. But now, I mean, I look back at all these years I've been hiking out there, I'm like, how the heck could you get lost at the Deem? But I think back when I first started, I'm like, it was a big place before I started exploring it all, so. Yeah.
Well, we got about 8 minutes left. I want to give the chat one more time, some time to ask questions. Is there, while they're typing in those questions, is there anything that you want to plug as far as your locations? We did your website. I did your Facebook group. What about your YouTube channel or any of that? Oh, how active? I know you've done some shorts, but how active are you planning on being on your YouTube channel?
I've got plans for this winter. I want to start getting more active on YouTube. I've got some good ideas for explorations.
Okay.
I've had some obligations last couple weeks, so I've been doing some stuff with the caving organization. So, I'm ready to get out in the woods, start making some videos. I love making crazy videos in the woods.
I'm going to I'm going to ask the chat if they would go and give you some subs. Here is your YouTube channel. He's got I didn't put 2 and 2 together, but now that you told me about being a caver, this all makes sense.
The road videos are wild.
Right. Yeah, that all makes sense now. But everybody go out and just type in stoopwalker or at stoopwalker and give him a sub and get him on his way to 1,000 so he can make 30 cents a month like the rest of us.
Oh boy. I think I do it for fun more than anything.
Yeah.
And actually with the book, even I really hope that the book ends up being a really good thing for the Hoosier National Forest, because I want to see more people get out there and utilize it more. And maybe I kind of explained this in the foreword of the book, but as people start exploring more, maybe start inquiring with the Forest Service, making some little suggestions for improvements.
Yeah.
Maybe a parking area here and there.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe a little more accessible.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you, I definitely plan, like I said, I definitely plan on using it because of all the places that you've been to that I didn't know about. But I have the exploration thing like you do. I enjoy going off trail. And this is just a great, I think it's a great guide to finding stuff. Lots of places.
I can't wait to start seeing pictures come across. You know, if you go out somewhere and take pictures, send it my way, tag me in it.
Yeah.
I would love to see it. I'm really active on Facebook. I try and be active on Instagram.
I'll send you a picture of a giant burial mound. Is what I'll do.
Oh, all right.
Wouldn't that be something?
Burial mound.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to get my book and get into it and start reading it too. Mine will be here Saturday, so I'm looking forward to it so I can start finding all these places before Chris does.
Never happened.
No. You know, the winter time is the time to do it, except we're about to get into modern gun season.
True.
So I'll throw that out there. So get you some orange, y'all.
I have been on a trail before. It's called the Lick Creek Trail. And I have had a shotgun go off 50 yards from me. And I was filming at the time. I was filming a YouTube video at the time. And I hit the deck. And I kept it in because that's just hilarious.
That's good TV.
Yeah.
When you roll into the Hoosier National Forest on opening weekend of gun season, there are pickup trucks lining the interstate, lining every road. And you're like, okay, everywhere there's pickup trucks, there are people in the woods with guns who aren't usually there. They only come out for one gun season, a lot of them. So, you got to be careful.
Yeah, we were out last year, gun season, remember, Chris, and it snowed. Yep. There were still some hunters out, but there wasn't near as many because it was super cold and snowy. And we went all the way out to a place called Terrell Pond. And heck, we had a guy just come walking out of the woods. He's walking back to his truck.
Yeah.
He's way back in there. But
and I have found
definitely wear orange.
I have found an abandoned tree stand while out looking at one of these old ponds. And it's abandoned, but it looked brand new. And you're supposed to take those down. And I reported it to the forestry, but it's still there. I mean, I went back and it was still there. So
I found a lot of those actually.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. One of them, the one at Jubin Creek is it's like my official marker for where to turn now. Actually,
still there, huh?
Yes. That's an area. That's an area I'm going to hit up this winter when it gets nice and cold. Hopefully, get some frozen waterfalls. I love frozen waterfalls in the wintertime.
I can tell that's most of the waterfalls in your book because most of them are frozen.
Yes.
Okay. Well, hey, man, thank you so much for coming on. And I hope that everybody goes out and gets your book. I know I'm going to use it as a resource, and I'm going to make plenty of videos about it. It was really nice to meet you. And I hope that everybody goes and gives you a sub. And, it just, you're doing a great service for those of us who love exploration and the Hoosier National Forest in writing this book.
Thank you,
man. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. It's been great. It was really great meeting you, and I will definitely be seeing y'all in April.
Awesome.
All right,
I'm going to put you backstage for a little bit, and we're going to close the show. But again, thank you for coming on.
Cheers.
All right.
Awesome. I cannot wait to get my book so I can get reading on that. And that's it. It always amazes me, you know what I mean? Because I've learned a lot through like you or other Hoosiers who've gone out there and explored. It's like, oh wow, I've never heard of that spot. Go out and check it out. So when you got that book and you started telling me about it, it's like, hey, we got to have this guy. Oh, look at all these great places.
Yeah.
It blew me away because you do way more research on the stuff than I do. I just like, yeah, I'll go with you. But for somebody to have all these places that you've never even heard about really piqued my interest. Because like I said, you do a lot of research and you've been a lot of different places throughout the state. And so, yeah, I'm definitely excited to get my book and we can start planning some trips around this.
Heck yeah. And it looks like Jeremy just ordered the book. So,
yep. But yeah, everybody go check him out. I mean, that's to share all those places in hopes that, everybody else can see the things that he's found, and just maybe it will bring a little more awareness to the Hoosier National Forest, and maybe you'll get the state maybe spending some more money and get some more access to these places as well.
As long as they don't cut down trees to pay for it. That's the part I want them to do.
or, as long as people don't go out there and destroy the places that's always a fear, right? We kind of talked
Right.
about that before. It's like he's giving the coordinates and everything else, and that's going to bring more traffic. So always remember to leave no trace principles.
Yeah. Yeah. And
But
maybe
yeah.
maybe we can educate people at our meetups more about that. Maybe that'll help stem
Maybe
that
can.
tide.
So yeah, everybody, please go check him out. You can get his book on Amazon. That's where I purchased it from. Check his website out. There's a link on there as well. His Facebook,
Yeah.
YouTube, Instagram, all that stuff. Go show him some support. Where can everybody else find you, Chris?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Brian.
Besides at home.
Oh, nicely done. I'm
welcome.
THG. Yeah, you know me. That hiking guy everywhere. That's where I'm at.
Yeah,
What about
that
you,
hiking guy.
Brian? Where can people find you?
Well, you can find me at Carlson Adventures on YouTube, Carlson_Adventures on Instagram, Carlson Adventures on Facebook, Carlson Adventures on TikTok, all those good places,
And Grinder.
and Grinder and Tinder and everywhere else. So if anybody's listening to this and hasn't subscribed to my channel or watched a couple 100 hours of
please do.
video for me, please do. I am finally coming up on the 1,000 mark. I think I need about 40 more subs. I need about 700 watch hours. So yeah, go out there, give me a sub, give me some watch hours. Do your brother a favor. I've been working at this for a little while now. I got 3 more
1K before
videos.
the end of the year. That's what we're right.
The way I've been trending, that shouldn't be a problem. But I mean, hey, I'm asking for all the help I can get out there. I'm not embarrassed to ask, right? But
Right.
I've got 3 videos planned out for this weekend too. I got a little trip coming up, and I got 2 new little products I want to show off. So I'll have some new stuff out there. Everybody's getting on me about putting out videos. So I'm like, I just put one out like 3 weeks ago. Come on.
Well, it's because nobody watches.
That's good for me. That's good for me. But no, I can use some love too. So show me some love. But
show Carlson some love. Definitely.
Yep. But hey, appreciate everybody as well that showed up in the chat and for the questions and just joining us tonight. So with that, I guess we'll close the show out, Chris. Bye, Chris. Bye, everybody.
Get out there and explore.
Oh, yeah.
Sucker.